Hey, yes, Smugglings, what is happening? This is going to be the review for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So this is the third film in the Harry Potter film series, and we've got Alfonso Cuaron who steps in as the director for this one, and he takes over from Chris Columbus who did the first two Harry Potter films, and we get an entirely different feel and tone for this one, which is quite exciting, and it's quite a different movie. So, on this one, obviously got Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint as the main stars here, and we got an additional member to the cast, which is David Thewlis as Professor R.J. Lupin, who's the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Very good here. Loved his performance in this. So he steps in here as the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher because they never can keep a Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher for more than one fucking year because they always change them. Something always happens. Something bad always happens with the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. So they should probably remove the class altogether. It's bad news. It never works. But they keep trying. And we've also got Gary Oldman as Sirius Black. Very fun playing against type here for Gary Oldman, which we'll speak about later, but he's playing against the type he's usually cast as in this film, which is very cool. So we will discuss that later. We get more into the spoilers of the film. But starting off with this one, we got Harry Potter just before his third term begins, and he's with the Dursleys again. I don't know why he keeps going back there. Should just really stay with the Weasleys. They seem like a much better family. But he's with the Dursleys, and he's about to start his third year at Hogwarts. And I really loved this introduction to the film. I really loved this scene because we get a visitor. Aunt Marge is coming to the Dursleys' house, and we see a change in attitude from the Dursleys. They are not as mean and obnoxious to Harry as they were before. They're still shites, but not as much as they were before. It's not as cartoonish as it was before because Harry needs his paper signed to be able to go on the school trip at Hogwarts, and Vernon Dursley says, later perhaps if you behave. And he's not outright saying, no! He's not outright shouting at him, which he has done in the previous film. So that is an interesting little tweak there, which I did like. Shows a bit of an evolution in the characters. And we got Aunt Marge coming, and she's just shit talking James Potter and Lily Potter to Harry, and he's having none of it. And I love this scene. I love this outburst from Harry and the performance of Daniel Radcliffe because Harry is obviously very similar to Voldemort. He's got a part of Voldemort's personality in him because Voldemort imprinted on him when he fought him as a baby. And due to him failing to kill Harry as a baby, part of Voldemort lives in Harry. And I love this little bit where you see Marge just absolutely shit talking James and Lily Potter, and Harry's having none of it. And he's just has this big outburst in front of the whole family. And I really like that because it shows that Harry's no longer this passive kid that he once was. He's more assertive than he once was, and that's one of the aspects I like the most about this film is that it shows Harry evolving as a person and he's becoming more mature. And I really did like that part of the film. And we start off at this place with the Dursleys, and then Harry gets really upset with Aunt Marge, makes her into a big balloon. She flows up and goes up into the sky, and then he's basically chucked out. Oh, he chucks himself out of the Dursley's house, and he goes out and he goes on a night bus, and then he goes to the Leaky Cauldron, the old pub, the Leaky Cauldron that is in the Wizarding World in London, and gets away from there, meets his mates, and we learn then of the plot to kill Harry. So this escaped prisoner called Sirius Black, played by Gary Oldman, that is trying to kill Harry, and that is the plot of the film is that this escaped prisoner is on the run and in Hogwarts looking for Harry while he's there, which is the most terrifying plot to a Harry Potter film yet, and it's really cool that they're starting to explore darker themes in this one. And we've got the Dementors in this one. So these Dementors are the guards of Azkaban, and they are patrolling Hogwarts as they know that Sirius Black has escaped from Azkaban. So they are there patrolling Hogwarts. But we also know that Dementors don't really have much of a conscience, so they will attack you if you get in their way. So you've got that threat looming over Hogwarts in this one. And when I watched this when I was little, I wasn't really a big fan of this film out of all the Harry Potter films. Like, I did like it quite a lot, but in terms of the other Harry Potter films, I absolutely adore them, and this was one that stood out quite a bit when I was younger. I think over time I've appreciated it more for what it did to the series, the evolution that it was for the series, and I do appreciate that for it. And it's got this murky color palette to it. It doesn't have the bright, colorful visual language that the first two have, I think. And it's a different tone, and it feels very different to the previous two films in the series. But that is obviously because it's a different director, so he has a very different style for the film. And we have the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, Lupin, who is teaching the classes. And I remember Lupin being one of my favorite of the Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers because we've not really had a genuinely good person before as a Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher in the series. But Professor Lupin is legitimately a very cool person and a very humble person and a person who's very humorous and sociable and easy to get on with, and he's a very cool teacher. And that is a stark contrast to what we've had before. We've had stuttering Professor Quirrell, who has been an absolute shit. He's the host for Voldemort, and then we've also had Gilderoy Lockhart, who's an absolute fraud. So we finally get a teacher that is actually legitimately good at his job, and someone who is very entertaining, and did like him a lot. I loved Lupin as the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and his connection to Harry is really good. And we do find out that he knows James, Harry's father, so he has that connection to him, and that's what draws them together in quite a lot of ways. Is that Harry gets part of his dad, and Lupin gets part of James because they are so much alike. And I thought that was really cool, and I love their rapport in this film. And it's really cool to see that we finally get a good teacher for Defense Against the Dark Arts and a really cool teacher that is interesting to listen to. So I did like that very much. And this does follow the similar conventional structure to the previous films. We've not done away with that yet. We get further away from the structure of the school year as we go further down the Harry Potter series. And in this one, we see Harry go into his classes, visit Hagrid, have the Quidditch match. And we do have a Quidditch match in this, and that's always a really exciting event for me. Is the Quidditch matches? They are always very visually stunning parts of the film, and I did love this one as well. And it's a very different style because it is very foggy, very hard to see. The weather is absolutely horrendous, and you can barely see what's going on. And it's a very exciting moment of the film, and it's a lot more brief than the previous films, but I thought it was very well done, so I did like that quite a lot. And yeah, we got Professor Trelawney as well, another teacher that's added to the cast, divination teacher. Very good. Emma Thompson here does a very good job. Very silly as the character, but enjoying the role so much. It reminds me a lot of Jack Sparrow, where she's sort of pointing like that, and she sort of got those gestures like Jack Sparrow would have in Pirates of the Caribbean. Which I wonder if there was inspiration from Jack Sparrow, but that is quite good there. So I liked her performance as well. Never really got much of an issue with the performances in the Harry Potter films. I think they are some of the best actors in Britain that they choose for the cast, so there's never really an issue with the acting for Harry Potter. So I like that quite a bit. And yeah, the school has changed as well because the production shifted, so the production became longer and they made so many different changes to the school. They used more real locations in this film compared to the previous films, and you definitely see that the school looks very different. That was quite jarring for me when I was younger. I was wondering why there was suddenly a bridge at Hogwarts and why there was all these different aspects to it, such as Hagrid's hut being in a different place. But they obviously had to change that because the films were continuing. They anticipated the films going for two entries in the series, but it became so popular. Obviously, they have to continue and they have to change the layout to make it a more long-term plan, which I totally understand. And it's really interesting to see the sort of castle change as the films change. So I do understand that now, and it's all good. But yeah, as I said with Harry, you sort of see his personality change quite a lot, and him becoming that more angst-riddled teen. And I love the moment where you sort of realize that Sirius Black was a good friend of the Potters. He was a great friend to James and Lily, and that is when Harry's full anger came out. It's a really striking moment in the film, and I thought it was really cool to see Harry lash out. And he has quite a few outbursts in this film, and you can see him sort of lose control of that anger, and it's quite a lot like Anakin Skywalker in the prequels. It reminds me of that quite a bit, where you see this promising this person that is supposed to do wonders in the world and is the chosen one, but they are weak to emotion, and it's really cool to see that even the best of us is fallible, and that's a really cool part of it. And Daniel Radcliffe did a really good job in this, I think, because people have criticized him for being a bit wooden in the Potter films, but I see some of the emotion that he shows in this, and it's really convincing. And that's a big part of the films. If the emotions aren't convincing, you're not going to feel for the characters, but because the emotions are very convincing, it does a great job here. So I really was impressed by that. And this is the turning point for the series. This is the point at which the series becomes less focused on the mystery of the school and the structure sort of changes. Because in this one, it's not really a mystery within the school. It's Harry evading Sirius Black and then going for Sirius Black because he finds out that he murdered his parents, or so he thinks in this film. He thinks he murdered his parents, so he goes looking for Sirius Black. He's actively trying to kill Sirius Black. We don't really think he's actually going to do it, but that is his goal in his mind, is that I've got to see Sirius Black, I've got to find him and strangle him because he's a shit and he betrayed my parents and he's the reason why I don't have parents anymore. And that's really interesting. It's obviously very different from the previous ones because they were quite childlike in that way, whereas they had a mystery of the school. We got the Philosopher's Stone. What's going on with the Philosopher's Stone? The trio are going to find out what happens there. And the same with the Chamber of Secrets. The trio are going to find the Chamber of Secrets. But with this one, it's Harry trying to kill Sirius Black because obviously he is someone that he thinks has killed his parents. So I did like that quite a bit. And that's the thing of this film, is that Harry's going through his school year and the threat of Sirius Black is looming, and he's got to try to evade him initially, and then he is going for him when he finds out that he really did betray his parents. So really did like that. That is very cool. And Gary Oldman, brilliant in this one. And obviously the revelation that he's not actually someone who killed Harry Potter's parents, but he's someone that was framed by Peter Pettigrew, Ron's little rat that turns out to be an actual human, is really cool. And I love the lore behind this. It explores more of the lore behind the relationships between the characters and Harry's parents, where Harry, Sirius, and Lupin and James were really close together, and they were really good friends when they were in school, and they got into a lot of trouble, and they obviously have the Marauders map that Harry uses throughout the film, and I really did like that. I thought that was a cool aspect of the film. You sort of see the history where Lupin, James, and Peter were friends in school, and you learn more about their relationships throughout the film, and I thought that was very cool. I did like that quite a lot. And like I said, Gary Oldman is great. He's always brilliant, and he's playing against type here. So we think he's the villain initially, like he is in every movie he's been in, such as Dracula, Air Force One, Leon the Professional. But he's not here, and that's the cool revelation of this film is that he's not actually the villain of this film, and he's someone that becomes this really loving uncle to Harry, and it is cool to see their relationship. I will say the switch is a bit quick because Harry is initially hell bent on killing this person, and then he finds out that Sirius is a good friend of James and not someone that betrayed him, but it's actually Peter Pettigrew that betrayed him. But he becomes very adoring towards Sirius quite quickly. I think that's probably one of the biggest sort of issues of the film is that their relationship develops so quickly after only moments ago trying to kill each other is crazy. Well, Sirius wasn't actually trying to kill Harry, but Harry was trying to kill Sirius in his mind. So that was a bit quick that that happened, but that is completely fine. And I will say I wasn't always the biggest fan of the direction of this film. The style is murkier, like I said, than the previous entries. It feels like, and I was always unsure what to think of it, but I do like it a lot more now that I've seen it as an adult, and I think it is a really good film. It is a very good film, I think. And one of the strongest parts is the relationship between Harry and Lupin, actually, throughout the film. I think that's one of the coolest parts of it, because it does feel like James Potter and Lupin interacting with each other, because there's a lot of James in Harry. So I did like that quite a lot, because you can see the rapport between them. The chemistry is very good, and it's a very cool teacher-student dynamic, and it feels a lot like Anakin and Obi-Wan in quite a lot of ways, and I did like that quite a bit. So that is very good. One moment I do want to point out as well is the moment where Snape is protecting the trio when Lupin turns into the werewolf. And I didn't really notice this as much when I first watched it, but Snape is really protecting the kids. And I never noticed that as much before, but it really shows that he's not the person that he puts on. And it's very much a front for him, and he's not actually this misanthrope that he pretends to be. He does actually care about people quite a lot, and I like that because he really is clutching the kids to protect them from Lupin as it's a werewolf in the film. So I did like that quite a lot, and that is something that is very good. And like I said, this is a turning point, so we sort of get different directors, the different castle that we get, different uniforms as well. Something that I didn't like when I was a kid, I noticed the uniforms were different, and I always preferred the sort of black cloaks with the emblem on the breast, but in here it's sort of on the hood. The colors of the houses are in the lining of the uniform, and it's not a big deal, obviously, but it was something that annoyed me as a kid. But it's completely fine. But yeah, that is what is to be said about that. But this is a very good film. It's not one I love as much as the others, I think. I think I do love the others more than this one, and I think it is, for me, possibly the weakest one, but it's still a film that is of very high quality, just like they all are. They're all made very well, and they all tell really good stories. And I think the thing I love about this one is the connection to James and James Potter. Harry's dad plays a big part in this because Harry produces the Patronus in the third act of the film, and that protects him and Sirius. And it's due to the thoughts of his parents that he's able to conjure this powerful magic. And you're learning more spells with the characters within the film as well, because they are learning more advanced magic as they are getting older, and they are needing to be more prepared for what is out there. So I do like that quite a lot. And it is a very good film, and I do like it quite a lot. I'm excited to see the other ones as well. But this is a very good film. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is one that Smoggy definitely recommends, and that is that for the Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban review. Like I said, that is what I'm going to be saying with the verdicts. I'm not going to be scoring them as much anymore. I think I'm going to lay that to rest at the minute because I think it complicates the rankings that I may do later. So I'm going to put that to bed for now. But if there's any movies you guys want to recommend to me for me to check out, I am all ears and I'd love to hear what you guys say there. So that is my review for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So cheers, guys. I really appreciate it, and I will see you soon. So you take care, smugglings, and I will see you soon.